Welcome back to the final whistle then for another stream on the channel. And the Leicester City managerial vacancy could have took another twist. Well, Danny Rowe's been the man that has been very much linked with Leicester City, by the way. But the other side of Sheffield, Mr. Chris Wilder, is a name that's been mentioned in the last couple of minutes. Oh dear. So there's been a few names, haven't they, linked with Leicester: Sean Dyche, Danny Rowe. Chris Wilder looks like one that's been very much linked, and I think that's very much gone down well with the Leicester fans, hasn't it? But we're going to chat Chris Wilder. It is reported that Leicester City hold Chris Wilder talks. So a man who's got promotions under his belt, a man who has got Sheffield United to the Premier League, obviously got them to the playoffs last season, and we're going to discuss it all. So join me, we're going to chat, we're going to look back on pre-season today. Let me know your thoughts on that, who impressed, let me know your thoughts, but hit the like button if you enjoyed this stream, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. So whatever bit of news we get regarding Leicester City, we're going to chat. So is this Chris Wilder one bullshit, or could it be one to put the pressure on the Danny Rowe situation to hurry this one up? So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, welcome everyone to the chat, by the way. Really appreciate everyone coming in as always. Andres, how are we, mate? Hope you're good. If he comes in, we're all finished. Well, it's bullshit, surely. Ivan, how are we, mate? Fuming if true. No. He can. Patrick's not happy, by the way. I can't put that comment up. Greetings, Terry. How are we, mate? Evening, Jack. I hope this is not true. Well, we never know what is happening with Leicester City, because at this minute in time, we've got 36 days until the season starts. So, no manager, no kit announcement, no signs of ins and outs at Leicester City, and the club are still twiddling the thumbs. John Rudkin earlier, when I was at the training ground, was on the phone. So what kind of conversation and who was he speaking to? So who knows? I did put a picture up online earlier. Wilder's club has really lost its mind. We absolutely hopeless again. No, Jack, not this. Why don't we back whoever it is in charge? So much negativity around the club. Yeah, I can agree with that. I think we can back, but we need the right manager. Let's be honest, Gray. Wilder is the worst dinosaur out of them all. Just I beg, get Danny Rowe. Well, this is what I'm saying. Is it the case of something may have happened regarding the Rowe thing, or is it the case that they're putting pressure on the Danny Rowe situation to hurry it up so they can appoint Danny Rowe to sort of say, okay, then we will go from there. We will go from there. But no, Leicester win today against Peterborough. Yeah, we're going to discuss that. Dawn, hello. Ivan, how are we, mate? Hope you're good. They want a culture at the club. Look at Wilder towards the end of the season. He was massively unhinged. This isn't a great sign at all. Well, well, apparently, according to some of the fans that I was sort of talking to, Sheffield United fans, he bloody gets done quite quickly. Looking good, bro. Appreciate that, mate. Hope you're good, by the way, you and Julie. If Leicester sign Wilder, it's 10 steps backwards, although he will show a push for promotion. It concerns me the direction in which the club want to go in. Yo-yo club at its finest appointment possible. Leicester will talk to a lot of names, though, won't they? There will be many people who would have interviewed for the Leicester job. There'll be many conversations that will be had with different managers. So holding talks with Chris Wilder is another one. I think we need to fight. Well, we need to bloody fight for something, mate. Let's be fair. Rudkin was on the phone ordering a pizza, mate. Well, who knows? Best Leicester City blogger of all time. Appreciate that, Adam, mate. I'm thinking of just ignoring the new going back to Potter last season. Those rumours of a manager kill me. We just have been linked with 20 gaffers in 2 seasons. Well, this is the situation. See, last summer, we put all our eggs in one basket to Graham Potter. Carlos Corberán was a man we could have got for £3 million. We went against it. He went to Valencia. He was doing well there. Then we ended up going to the very last resort of the barrel, and it was Steve Cooper. Steve Cooper wanted the challenge, Leicester City. He reportedly impressed them with a presentation. I don't know what presentation it is, but he did it anyway. Didn't work. Danny Roll was sounded out when Cooper got the sack, so he was seen as a future replacement to come in. Ruud van Nistelrooy then becomes manager. We don't go for David Moyes or Sean Dyche to come and save us. We end up going for Ruud van Nistelrooy, who's got no relegation experience whatsoever. And it goes worse. And we get relegated. And we go down, creating some of the worst records ever. So we've took too many gambles regarding different managers, haven't we? We've took too many gambles. It's not paid off for Cooper or Ruud van Nistelrooy. 2 different, not even identical bloody ways of playing with when we had Enzo. So the thing is, if this article is true, that kind of shows we're panicking here, thinking, "Oh shit, oh no, what is happening?" You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm thinking of just ignoring. Who comes in doesn't mean we sit on our thumbs and accept the below par decision making. Exactly. Yeah, no, I agree. Andy King is a better option. Kingy would be good in the backroom staff. I don't think at this minute in time managerial would be the ideal situation. He should never be put in this situation at all. He's still learning his trade, Andy King. I seen him today, had a chat with him. Great bloke. Even he says he's not going to become the manager. It's going to be whoever, the next person. So, speaking to a Sheffield United fan, he says they're going to miss Suter and Hamza this season. I'd rather have Kingy than him. We have no money. The rumour is we cannot afford a buyout. That if rumours are true like that, that sort of shows what position we're actually in regarding money. Jack, great photos of you with current and former staff today. Yeah, appreciate that. The thing is, the club is set up to play a certain way from the under-9s upwards. So why are we looking at managers who do not even remotely play the way? What a scattergun approach. This is it. If Leicester City want to play a certain way, they need a list of managers who play the exact way and then go through that list. But hiring bloody Wilder, Carrick, Danny Rowe, Sean Dyche, I don't know, the man from Victoria Park, whoever, the man who bloody runs the Space Centre. You can't be doing it. You've got to physically go with what the actual identity is that you want to create. You need a list of managers who play the same style of football. And we've gambled it. We've gone with Cooper and Van Nistelrooy in the past. And it slapped us straight in the face. It's as simple as that. What is it with managers coming in from Sheffield? I don't even know, mate, to be fair. It could be from his agent fishing. This is what I think it is. Agents, very much like that. You talk about the Russell Martin one. Let's go back to the Russell Martin one when we were talking about Russell Martin and nobody fancied him. Neither did I. So Russell Martin's agent pulled it perfectly. Linking in with Leicester, there were no talks or anything like that. The directors of football didn't even know that bloody Russell Martin to Leicester City were a thing. His agent worked that to get leverage for him to go to Rangers. So maybe, just maybe, Danny Rowe, it could be one of them where we're pushing on that to get that to happen, because Leicester City are realistically going to need a manager. We're desperate. And that's not saying go and appoint the bloody first person you see. That's saying take your time. Appoint the manager. You know what style of football you actually want to play. Don't keep going for people because of the name or whoever they are. Because that doesn't help in football. But the thing is, Martin didn't come. Wasn't favoured anyway from what I was regarded to have been told. Rob Tanner. Bradley, how are we? And how are we, mate? Hope you're well. Just when life could not get any worse. I mean, mate, I've seen some shit games in my time. So we're after Sheffield Wednesday's manager, former Sheffield United manager. Next week it'll be Sheffield FC's manager on the radar. Probably will. Let's be fair. The man from Del Monte would be a better appointment. I'd rather that bloke from the Space Centre than Wilder. It was just an idea. It's a suggestion. I'm not saying to Rudkin, go out and get the man from the Space Centre. Don't even think about watching this and thinking what I've just said. Right. Moving on. Right. Rudkin was on the phone to Top telling him, stick with King. Right. I'd rather have Chris Wilder. Well, LCFC. Well, I'd rather giving King a chance in the circumstances. The bookies are never far wrong. First two in the betting will get the job. The bookies is always like that, though, isn't it? It always is like that with the bookies, isn't it? But you say that, Terry. When Enzo got appointed by Chelsea, Enzo was never the first name to be thought of on the bookies. It was Thomas Frank. It was Roberto De Zerbi. They were the first two. So you say that. It's not always the case. Chris Wilder can only manage Sheffield United. This is stupid. King is better than Wilder already. Chris Wilder went to Middlesbrough, if you remember, and he was honking. Absolutely honking. But Sheffield United is the one where he's done wonders with, hasn't he? And I'm not saying the Premier League record, because that was honking enough. Didn't concede like 100 and something goals in a season. Sheffield United when they last went to the Premier League. So, I don't know. I am not physically sure what is happening. Clibo, if you're still in the chat, big up. Dave, how are we? Wilder did shit at Watford too. Yeah. See, this is the thing. Nigel Pearson went to Hull. Didn't work out, right? Nigel Pearson went to Derby. Didn't work out. Went to Luton. Didn't work out. Nigel Pearson managed Leicester on 2 occasions. We got promoted from League One, got to the playoffs the following season. Got promoted from League One to the Championship. Then got playoffs the following season. Nigel Pearson then came back. We won the Championship. We obviously got playoffs as well. And then we got the Great Escape. And Nigel Pearson, fantastic manager at Leicester City. And this is it. True. Some managers just need a click at certain clubs. Exactly. I mean, Nigel Pearson is director of football, won't go and miss either. So let's see what happens regarding that one. But if anyone wants to come and have a chat with me, feel free. Come and have a chat. Let me know. Let's get it off your chest. What's happening here? I don't want to ruin anyone's Saturday, by the way. And that is not what I'm trying to do here. At Middlesbrough, he was dominated by the team that brought in the players. Everything had to be agreed by them. Don't want Wilder, but made Hamza a better player. Hamza were good last year, wasn't he, at Sheffield United? Harry Souttar was another one that was good at Sheffield United till his injury. Wilder can work with the younger players. He has done it at Sheffield United with bringing Raksaki in and players like that. He has worked with the very younger players at Sheffield United and brought them into the squad. So Wilder is promotion proven. That is positive, but that guy gets the ump. That guy gets the ump quick. if they do not get in a manager who can play the most, that shows their potential today. Rookie deserves the sack. Do you know what, the Silver Fox? I agree. I very much agree, even though he probably should have been sacked sooner. But the thing is, Leicester's brought in the academy players. You brought Monger in, Jake Evans, Michael Golding. You brought Alabardi Luco in. You've seen what Louis Page can do. Silko Thomas, another one. So the next manager has got to be able to come in and work with that. Marcel, another one, younger player. He's got to come in and work with these younger players and get the best. And these younger players have got to be able to have the right manager to thrive, to work. Warnock or bust. Jesus Christ, now you are scraping the barrel if you think Neil Warnock's coming to Leicester, mate. Honestly, I don't think we're in that desperate strait at the minute. I know a few clubs have been in the past, like Cardiff with Neil Warnock, and I think Huddersfield were thereabouts again. So he's a firefighter. Sam Allardyce is a firefighter. Sean Dyche, firefighter appointment. Or Leicester City at that point? You tell me if you're desperate for them sort of managers to come and manage this football club. I don't want Chris Wilder. I'd back him if he came in. I think any manager what comes in, we have to back. We will back him because you have to. You've got no choice. Any manager, every fan will have different managers in mind. I mean, Wilder's not my first choice. I'll admit that to you right now. Not ruining my side there, Jack, on the vodka and crack. Do you know what? I've just pulled that up. Oh, that is funny. That is very funny. I'm sorry, you made me laugh. Right. So, I'd rather have Gary Megson back, mate. They were some dark days if you want Gary Megson at Leicester City, mate. Jesus Christ. I think I've got a man who's probably older than Gary Megson. He goes by the name of CL. It is Mr. Clibbo. Uncle Clibbo. How are we, Clibbo?
Well, after that compliment, not great.
Right, Clibbo, you all right? What are you, younger than Gary Megson? I mean, how many years between you?
I don't know. How old's Gary Megson?
Someone's going to have to put it in the comments. I don't have a clue how old Gary Megson is. Someone's just said about Gary Megson. Gary Megson is... Let me have a look how old he is. Gary Megson is 66.
Well, he's got quite a number of years on me.
I don't want to offend you. He's cheaper to hire than Dyche overall. That's why we're speaking to him. This is a money-saving scheme, not a footballing move. Clibbo, before we talk about the pre-season game and all that, we're going to look through Chris Wilder's record at Sheffield United because it does speak for itself. But what's your initial thoughts on the reports that have come out today about Chris Wilder holding talks with Leicester City?
Don't believe it for a second.
Okay, explain.
Well, you've only got to look at the game today, for instance, and how the team was set out, how it plays. It doesn't scream Wilder to me. And I think that the club really have to think about what the fans think here. And I know that they know that Chris Wilder is definitely somewhere way down on the bottom of the list. We don't want anyone like that. Listen, you've seen the youth today. You've seen the youth in management. You've seen the youth in players. And that's the way forward. No more of these. We don't want these older managers now. We've got to plan ahead and go forward. It's no quick fixes. What's his record in the Premier League if we were to get promoted?
Well, he got relegated last time and the time before that.
Well, there you go. You would end up.
Was it COVID that went down? Sheffield United that season they went down during COVID, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they went down last season, not last season. The last time they was in the Premier League, didn't they concede like 100 and something goals? Probably the most goals ever can be conceded in a season.
Yeah, but the thing is, he'll get you. I'm not saying
he'll get you up,
but he will get you up with a style that's not going to progress. It's Championship. And I'm sorry, but I don't care what anyone says. Leicester City are a bigger, more progressive club than Sheffield United. Whether that's just bias, that's up for debate. But I think in the grand scheme of things, historically, and what we've won recently, we're a far bigger club, and we should be looking. Whether the rumours are true about us having no money, we still should be attracting much better than Chris Wilder. I honestly, I mean, I've not heard. My contact is on holiday at the moment, and I'm sure I would have heard that was something that would have been in the pipeline, and I definitely haven't heard anything.
Fair enough. Wilder has affiliation with Sheffield United. Carrick has affiliation with Middlesbrough. That's why they won't be successful anywhere else.
I bow to your superior football knowledge because you've got a brain that retains more information than mine. I'm telling you now, right, in front of all of your audience, make a case for Chris Wilder to be progressive, get us up and stay up.
I don't think I can.
There you go. I'd like to see anyone in the chat do it as well.
I want to see what Armchair has to come back with and say about that now you've said it to him. Club are not transparent with anything. The fans are starting to get really pissed off. Clibo, you are? Clibo just robbed a bank. Huh?
I think he's probably just looking at the way I'm dressed.
Which manager, if any, can you see any manager getting the most out of the academy and have them in the first team squad? I have little faith in most of the managers' links. Clibo, who would suit you? Say you were the man. Say you replaced John Rookin today. Which type of managers would you be looking at, if any? Would it come work with the academy?
Well, I'd like to see somebody who's either like been in the game or young and is closer to the age group of the players, but not too close. So you'd say 36 to 40 is a reasonable age. You would have probably a little bit more in common with their style. So I think that's something I would want to look at. Danny Roll, obviously, that's grown on me massively, and looked into his history, and you have to say it's his first managerial job at Sheffield Wednesday, and it's quite impressive what he did. But if you look at his credentials as a coach and who he's worked under, if you're saying that none of that's rubbed off, then that's crazy talk, because he's been at the pinnacle in the coaching world. It's clear that he's able to get his philosophy across on the pitch, because he took over a team that, for all intents and purpose, are probably a mid-table League One team. And at one point,
should we bring in your nephew for a debate?
Oh, yeah. Go on
then. All right, lads.
Not bad.
I hope you lot enjoyed your family day out earlier on with Clibo's beloved Uncle Chris.
Oh, that was funny. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, Clibo, carry on what you were saying.
What is a knobhead?
Well,
I wonder where I got that from. Whoever
comes in gets the most out of the academy, that's what I'm judging on the manager. Obviously, Leicester have got a lot of young players, haven't they, Reece? At the minute, Monga, Jake Evans, Ben Nelson, still young. Who else have they got? Silko Thomas, Louis Page. There's a lot of young players in that Leicester squad. Talk to me regarding manager. I mean, Clibo spoke about Danny Rowe in his first time as manager at Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, he's got pedigree being a coach with the big clubs that he has worked at, like Bayern Munich and that. But if you could hire a different manager, I'm not saying Chris Wilder, but we're going to talk about Chris Wilder in a minute when I go through his stats at Sheffield United. So who's in your head when it comes to managers who potentially have a job? Well, what's your initial thinking on it?
To be honest, I cannot think of many candidates that I like, really. I mean, Chris Wilder got sacked for a reason from Sheffield United. Sean Dyche, style of football, not for me. I'm trying to think of other candidates that are out there. Give me. I can't think of many names. That's why I prefer Danny Roll. But I do think Danny Roll, even if there was other candidates out there, he would be like my first choice because of his style of play and his stock and and his potential and stuff like that. So I'm finding it really difficult to find a second option out there, but definitely not Chris Wilder. If you can't do the job at Sheffield United, you're going to come to a bigger club in Leicester and do the job. I can't see it. I can't see it happening. And he's just one of those old-fashioned managers that I think the game's moved on from now, personally, in my opinion. Yeah. And no, not for me, Chris Wilder.
It's all data-driven now. Someone was on Twitter earlier. They said, bloody hell, the amount of Yorkshire clubs managers we've been linked with. They said if Mark Hughes was still at Bradford, John Rudkin would go and slap him up. I thought, Jesus Christ. But he can't be having that.
I think you've got to look at the fact that, there are rumours that we're skint, etc., and then there's rumours.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculations there.
Well, it's going to be somewhere in the middle, isn't it? And it's probably when you're looking for a manager, you have to think somebody whose contract's about to run out or has no contract whatsoever. So you're lowering your pool straight away. That comment there, the world is full of talented coaches. Yeah,
it is
true. I mean,
if you get your scouting right, if you can get your Uncle Clippo, if you can get your scouting right, then you can find a good manager out there in Brazilian football, Argentinian football, anywhere in the world. There are good managers out there. You need to get your scouting right and look at what we're doing with Enzo Maresca. I know he was in English football, but we took a gamble on him, and that paid out to be a brilliant appointment in the end. So if you take risks, calculated risks, you can get the right man in.
We've got to look at compensation, haven't we? That's it. Damien Duff, what?
He must be winding you up, Uncle Clippo, there.
No, I've heard that bandied about a few times on
I've heard it bandied about with Brentford, and I think Armchair said it to me the other day about Damien Duff. What about him? And I said, what has Damien Duff done in coaching since? Is he even ready to even step up to that sort of module at the minute? He were a good player in his time, Damien Duff. No, not get me wrong, but not all good players turn into fantastic managers. You've seen what bloody Rooney's done, and bloody.
Did he manage at Ireland? Did he manage Ireland? Yeah,
I think you're in the coaching staff at Ireland.
Yeah.
Is Craig Levine still managing?
Jesus Christ!
No, we've had some bloody back and forth there.
Yeah,
Marty Cifuentes at QPR. He's worked with the young players, hasn't he?
He's done quite well there. He did quite well at QPR, so I'd probably prefer. I probably need to do a little bit more digging on him, but he looks like he's a bit of a progressive coach. That again, I think we need to be looking more into the progressive style of football. Me personally, because everyone goes on about doesn't matter how you win football, but at the end of the day, the fans want to see good football, no matter what they say about, if we get Sean Dyche, because I can guarantee you fans will be moaning about his style of play and blah, blah, blah. If he does come in and does that style of play.
Well, let's play devil's advocate. If the club are sitting there waiting for something to happen and haven't really got a Scooby-Doo, and they're kind of just waiting for it to fall into their laps, let's say, for instance, Kingy ends up in charge.
Yeah.
From what I've seen today, although he's not experienced, he was vocal on the sidelines. The players were playing for him. They were listening to his instructions, and he got his points across, and they were doing exactly what he was saying. Now, in terms of football style, he played two different systems. So he's got an A and a B. He had two different teams that can play those systems. Yeah, we're a bit rusty here and there. But I was impressed, particularly with the second string, the B side or the second half, whatever you want to call it. I was really impressed because that's a team of players that are used to playing with each other, and he's used to coaching them. Now, I'm not saying that I want Kingy as manager, but if the worst was to happen, I don't think I would be massively disappointed if it was down to funds and he wasn't made a scapegoat, because I love Kingy.
Yeah, I agree. Didn't they put him on gardening leave? I think they're on about.
Yeah, they did.
Cifuentes.
Yeah, they did.
I'd rather Kingy / Chris Powell combo than Wilder.
Yeah,
I would as well. At least Kingy will try. At least Kingy will try and progress the team into playing a good style of football. You know, you know what you'll get with Kingy in terms of right. Well, we're going to play this way. You know, fast pace, because he knows Leicester City in and out. He's got Leicester City DNA in him, and he knows how we've played in previous encounters, pressing high up the field, being a nuisance to the other team. You know, you don't, and then with a little bit of quality mixed in with it. And I think that's what we saw today in the second half, especially with those kids. He's got that Leicester City DNA imprinted on him.
I agree. I'd prefer Andy King, Albrighton assistant, back up by Andy Hughes. Well, I did say to Albrighton today when I was talking to him after the game, I said to him, "Do you fancy taking a coaching role at Leicester?" Then he laughed. He said, "No." He said, "It's not for me, not yet." And I said, if you're not wanting to take coach on, I said, surely we need some players next season who can go and do what you've done in the past. He said, nah. He said, I'm retired. I said, can I offer you some money then to take it? And we just had a good laugh about it. But King manager, Vardy assistant. I mean, there'd be no.
I'd love to get Vardy in as a coach for the strikers. Coach the strikers after finish.
Couple of years time.
In a couple of years, yeah.
If King comes in, it's pure desperation that the board will hope seniority will enough for his fans. Someone mentioned Christian Fuchs. Obviously, is he on the coaching staff at Charlotte FC at the minute with Dean Smith?
I think so. Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be an interesting backroom staff appointment if they bring Christian Fuchs. He knows the club.
Doesn't he have some sort of money? Doesn't he have some kind of backing in that into that team? Fuchs.
He paid for him for a bit, didn't he, before going into the coaching stuff?
Yeah, he hasn't got shares in a football club, has he, abroad? Has he got like shares in a football club?
Well, that's what I thought. It might be that team.
I know Vardy had.
That went tips up, didn't it?
Oh, God, yeah.
The club folded, didn't it? Richmond.
Let me share my screen. We're going to talk about Chris Wilder. We're actually going to discuss the article. Is my screen actually worked is the big question. Right, so where are we? Has it done it? There we go. We've done it. Can everyone see it? Can everyone read it? Is the main thing. I know we've all got glasses on, so we don't want to look like we're blind here. So, Football League World exclusive. Leicester City hold talks with ex-Sheffield United manager after Ruud van Nistelrooy exit. Leicester have held talks with Chris Wilder over their vacant manager's job. Sources have exclusively told Football League World. The Foxes are on the hunt for a successor to Ruud van Nistelrooy, who left his post last week. The Dutchman oversaw relegation. Well, there's not much to say about that one. Chris Wilder enters talks with Leicester City. So Leicester are seemingly making movements when it comes to trying to find Van Nistelrooy's replacement, though. It has been told that one individual has held talks with a hierarchy at King Power Stadium, and that is Chris Wilder. It has been 2.5 weeks since Chris Wilder lost his job at Sheffield United for the second time with relatively new owners to go into a different direction with Ruben Sellers following a championship playoff defeat. This is Chris Wilder's record. So in May 2016, he took over to March 2021, managed 227 games, 106 wins, 44 draws, 77 defeats, 1.59 points per game. December 2023 to June 2025, 78 games in charge, 34 wins, 13 draws, losses 31. I mean, talk to me what your thoughts are on the record of Chris Wilder from both of his times at Sheffield United.
Well, you can argue that you can look at the numbers and go good, bad, or indifferent. But at the end of the day, you got them promoted to the Premier League, which is the golden egg. But the ultimate goal is to stay in the Premier League, and he can't keep teams in the Premier League because he's got poor philosophy for that level of football. And I don't think we can afford to not look back in our recent history and just keep going for short-term fixes, because there's no way, unless we're mental, that we get promoted to the Premier League and give him a season with a load of money to try and keep us up, because he's just not. Like we said, I hate to say it, but every year you're out of the Premier League, it moves on. It progresses way more than the EFL does, and that's the problem. You're out of it, and people say, "Oh, we could build in the Championship," but if you're out of the Premier League for two years, let's say, the Premier League has moved on tenfold again. So we need somebody who can get us up using youth and a bit of experience with a system that could keep us there, and he can't. No chance. You're agreeing with
Reece?
I do, mate. I do agree with you, mate. Yeah, I think that's all just another journalist just looking for clout and a bit of clickbait. To me personally, to be honest with you, because we're still not got. We're one of the few clubs that have not got a manager. So newspapers, journalists will look for any clicks and buys that they can get at the end of the day. I don't think the club would personally go for Chris Wilder, in my humble opinion. As clueless as they are at the top, I don't think they're that clueless to go for him. But if you look at his record, it is a good record in terms of, but I think because of the Sheffield United fan, he's got that extra bit of boost about it, so he knows the club. He doesn't know Leicester City. Like, he doesn't know how we work. He doesn't know how we operate. So I think that's more of a gamble than all the other managers that we've been linked with as well. I mean, it's a difficult one, because I personally feel, my humble opinion is, we're waiting for Roll to become a free agent, so we ain't got to spend any money on him. In my personal opinion, I don't believe all this. I don't believe all these rumours that we haven't got any money. I don't believe it whatsoever. I just think we can't spend it because we've over-exceeded PSR. But yeah, they're my thoughts on it, really.
Well, like Ant says, Wilder is openly called out their board. Our board won't like that.
That's one thing I will give him credit for. He's not a yes man. He ain't a yes man, and I will give him his credit for that. He's not a yes man, but I don't think that's enough for you to get a top Championship job like Leicester.
Big up Dave in the chat. If it's true, I think Wilder could bring some stability. I mean, that's like saying the same about Sean Dyche, isn't it? Stability. I think they need a few years in the Championship to build again. Cliver, what's your thoughts on that? I know a lot of people have discussed it, haven't they, about a few years Leicester City in the Championship. We don't know what's coming our way next season, let's be fair, regarding the EFL and the Premier League charges. What's your thoughts on it all?
Well, if you're Sheffield United, you can afford to be in that, because let's face it, when they're doing their budgets, they're budgeting for top 6 Championship.
Yeah.
If they got bonus. That's not the case with Leicester. And over the last few years, we haven't budgeted that way. Now, I'm sorry.
Ask a comment there, Brian.
Leicester's it's a different entity. We cannot afford to be in that league for 2 to 3 seasons. We can't. One, if we're in there 3, we lose the parachute payments for 1. And you start to lose your best players, and you ain't going to get the best value for them.
Clive, are you going to tell us something we don't know, or what?
I have to be careful what I say, because I don't get somebody into shit with the club, But there's just, for me, you get, like when people say we can build in the Championship for 2 or 3 seasons, you've got to look at the real bigger picture, the amount of money you would lose as a club. And if you want those players sold, those young players, you've got to sell them in the Premier League. Selling them in the Championship, you're not going to get market value for them. And the likes of Monga will have massive ambitions to be in that Premier League. And looking at a few of those players today, a few more of them will as well. I just think that the EFL is too volatile to be risking, resting on your laurels, going, we'll build in the Championship. You just lose too much.
Like Dave says, we can't afford to be in the Premier League either, because that gap's massive, isn't it? The Leicester haven't got that type of money to progress it at this minute in time.
But what's the ultimate goal then? You stay in the Championship as a nearly team, because
you don't want to become that nearly team, do you? Like Norwich or anyone like that.
For years.
Yeah.
No. Yes, I might sound like an entitled fan, but for the last 10 years, it's been a joy.
No, I agree. Let's be another Watford. Let's not thank very much. They sat their managers every bloody 6 months. I mean, Leicester have had.
I feel sorry for their fans, I do.
Manager in the bloody 2 years, so it's crazy. Right, let's have a look at Chris Wilder's system of play. 3-5-2 is what it is. Apparently, it's possession based. Favours short passes, a somewhat revolutionary methods of switching play, despite having a strong midfield. Obviously, they would have had like the likes of Fleck recently, wouldn't they? Norwood, Lundstrom, Bulldog, Edgar Stevens. I think I'm looking at Sheffield United side from about 19-20 season, where it actually worked out for them, to be fair, in that season. Playmaking centre-backs from the early days of 1920 Premier League, Sheffield United uses an overlapping centre-backs as being a more popular resource, is what he's looking at. And defensive resilience. And obviously Sheffield United had a good defensive record, didn't they, Clibo, in the Championship? Obviously that season and the 1920 season, where they did do well under Chris Wilder.
Yeah, I go back to what I said at the beginning. I don't think it takes a great deal to become solidly defensive and have a reasonable system where you can play on the break or play reasonable possession football with reasonable players in that division. It's whether you can transfer it to the ultimate goal. And for me, I don't really care what he's done in the Championship, because the thing is with Leicester, if he was to take charge, which I don't believe for a second he will. If he was to take charge, he's going to want a 3-year deal. He's not coming here at his age on a 2-year deal. He's not coming here, which means at some point we'll have to pay him compensation. I would rather offer a 3-year deal to a man that's got less experience, granted. He's got much more ambition. He's seen much better systems than Chris Wilder will ever dream of.
Yeah.
Under Bayern and, under the coaches he's worked with. And if we did have to get rid of him, then the compensation package wouldn't be half as big, because you pay for experience. And I don't think Chris Wilder would actually come that cheap.
I don't see it either, to be fair. I don't even know how much Sheffield United were paying him, but it's all speculation at the minute, isn't it? Obviously, Leicester are going to hold talks with different managers, aren't they? They are going to see who's out there and what they can get if they can't get the number one target. But let's talk about today's result in pre-season. Peterborough, we beat them 3-1. Obviously, you boys would have watched the game. Obviously, I watched it from Seagrave. So let's talk about it. The game itself, the first half. I mean, you look at Akole and Ben Nelson. They're my ideal centre-back partnership next season. Realistically, you look at the back four: Ricardo, Luke Thomas on either side of the full-backs. Wanya Marcel. Talk to me about him, Reece. Everything seemed to have been going down that right-hand side. Leicester looked effective down that right-hand side, but just that last little bit of work that they were missing to that piece of the puzzle. But what did you actually think of the first half side against Peterborough? Obviously, they didn't score goals, Leicester, but how effective was it with how Andy King's got them working this week?
Well, I think for me, obviously he tried two systems. He tried he tried the Enzo style where he's seen Ricardo inverted fullback with Winks. And obviously the second half, I think that was a little bit more of his kind of stamp on things. Because obviously seen Samari playing a single pivot with a lot of the younger lads just pushing on. But the first half, I thought it was a little bit too slow for me. Obviously, I see, obviously, you noticed Skip playing a little bit further up the pitch, which I understood because he's more energetic than Winks. Winks is a much better ball player, but Skip's more energetic and he will press the front. On Wanya, I thought 90% of his play was excellent. Just got to that final third, and it just wasn't there. And he had the same trouble when we first brought him through under Enzo. So he needs to work on that because he's getting towards that age now. I think he's 22, 23, where he needs to be producing numbers and producing end product. Same with players like McAteer and stuff, and players like that, Mavididi. But no, lots of encouragement from what I've seen. I mean, that whole 11 of the youngsters, they're probably going to be our bench players next season. And if they play like that, the majority of the games next season coming off the bench, like Silko Thomas, Monga, players like that, I'll be more than happy for them to come off the bench and make an impact in the games next season.
Clibbo, first off, I mean, what was your initial thoughts on it? I mean, what was you quite happy with? What wasn't you happy with? I mean, I thought the youngsters themselves were better than some of the majority of the first teamers.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I agree with what Reece said there about, I mean, whether that was because it was first game, like it was a little bit lacking in urgency at times. But I thought, like, 1 year, I mean, I agree with everything you say. One of the things I thought that was difficult for him is when he got to the byline, which I love seeing wingers take it to the byline.
Taking your player on.
I really do. And I think it causes a lot of problems for, instead of like always cutting in, I think taking it to the byline, old style, can cause a lot of problems. The problem we've got is we haven't got a natural number 9 and we've got no height. So the movement in the box, the fox in the box wasn't there, to make that naughty pass, or even the chance cross to nod one in. We haven't got that. And I think that was a problem for both sides of the wing, to be honest with you. But I was encouraged. Really, I mean, first half was a bit but I was encouraged by the fitness. I was encouraged by the way that they tracked back after losing possession, and I was very encouraged. First half, second half, how quick they got back into shape on the defensive side of things, and I think that's something you have to credit King for. Instinctively knowing where to go back to when you lose the ball is, that's encouraging for the season ahead. It's something we haven't done for quite a while, really, has it?
I think we look better than what we looked under Van Nistelrooy, to be honest, with how we played. I know people say, but it's Peterborough United, but the thing is, you play who's in front of you, beat who's in front of you. You can't use that as an excuse all the time of, you only beat so-and-so. But I thought Ricardo was decent first half. I think he got forward quite a bit. I mean, Skip did get a few footings here and there. Mavididi, I don't know if he can't, with it being the first game of pre-season, he kind of struggled a little bit to get into his rhythm. And I think Peterborough handled that well with him. Akoli and Nelson, I thought were fantastic together. I think that they should be potentially the starters for next season because you can see that they understand each other's game well, the ball playing from the back. 1 year did get caught out offside a few times. I'd have liked him a bit more to get the confidence to take his man on when he did get one-on-one with his defender quite a few times down that right-hand side. But Jake Evans is one that is putting a shift in defensively, but not getting many opportunities. I agree. But then we look at the second half. The team changed. We did make the changes that we did. Reece, who do we talk about first? I tell you what, we will go with Monga. Talk to me about Monga's second half. I thought it was exceptional.
Yeah, he was. He's magical. I mean, the feet on the boy is just brilliant. Just quickly on Jake Evans, I felt sorry for him a little bit in terms of, obviously we know we haven't got a natural number 9, but he's not a natural number 9 either. He's always played on the wings for the under 23s. So I think the club will try and convert him into a striker, because I do think he's got the ability to do it. I thought his link-up play was quite good as well. He kept it simple, and that's what you need to do at that age. Keep it simple. Don't try anything too flashy, unless you're Jeremy Monga, and it pays off. But Monga was brilliant when he come on. He just looks so strong on the ball. Not like, for a 15-year-old lad, people struggle to get him off the ball. So, I've been talking to Uncle Clibber about this a lot, about how much he should play next season. I've always been like, if you're good enough, you're old enough. But I can understand where Uncle Clibber was coming from. We've got to be careful with him in terms of his bones, and he's still growing as a young lad. But no, in terms of him, most of the lads, I was encouraged by most of the lads, even that Lewis Page. Is it Louis Page? Is it who scored the 2 goals? Yeah, excellent. Silko Williams, what a finish!
Silko Williams, who's that?
Silko Thomas. Sorry,
Thomas. They're called Luke Thomas. That one.
Yeah.
Monga will be mustard. Exactly. I agree. I think he's an exceptional young talent. You looked at when he did get the ball, the way he drives at players, the way he can just take them on. Like, you think, bloody hell, mate, have you been in this game longer than you should have? Like, you can see he's enjoying his football. I said it to him after the game. I said, you'll go far in this game. You've just got to keep working and adapting and developing as a player. I said, you're a star in the game, ready to happen at some point, and I said, I'm glad that he's actually tied down to Leicester. And I think next season's a big season. You look at Alabadi Aluko, Clibo, the centre-back. I thought he were exceptional in defence next to Conor Cody.
I was anticipating him playing because I've heard things about him, and I have to say, if he lined up first game of the season, I wouldn't be averse to that. He's got everything that a developing, talented, modern centre back has. He's got pace. He's got vision of a pass. His positioning was on point most of the time, and he was aggressive. And he certainly wasn't scared to get his foot in, and he had pace to burn, especially for a centre back. And he was nodding him away. He was doing what defenders need to do. I think he's got some developing to do, obviously, but this is the Championship. It's not the Premier League, and this is the playground to do it in, as far as I'm concerned. And I would be happy to see him start. I don't think he'd start over the 2 that were initially in.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that boy's going to play, because you need minimum, I would say 3-4, don't you? Centre backs, natural centre backs. I mean, we've got JJ who can drop in, but I would say you need good 3 to 4 centre backs. He's definitely, for me, in that squad, potentially starter, because he's got enough. He's got enough about him now, I think, to play in the Championship.
Yeah, I agree.
As have a few of them.
Well, Alves is another one who I picked up on today. I thought he was good on the ball. Didn't really get the shots away that he wanted to, but I think the link-up play was good between the youngsters today. They shined. They showed what they can do and what they can offer if given the opportunity to. And some of the big eye owners got bloody put to shame by the youngsters today, to be honest. And that shows a big sort of thing. Like Tribe Onion says, big earners will rot on the bench if we get the right manager in. Exactly. It's about giving the youth system a chance. Leicester City never really looked into the youth system, really. They're just like, yeah, but we can't really do that. Well, you can, because look at the hidden gems you find, like Mongers and people like that. But then Silko Thomas, I thought, did all right down the middle. Quite steady player. He obviously needs to work on a few things, but another one who was on loan at, I think it was Wigan last season, he's come in. But you look at the goals that who scored. Louis Page got the 2 goals. The link-up play for them goals, and the age of 16 to go and put them away the way he did, that shows.
Is that all he is?
16.
Is that all he is? Wow.
Yeah.
We've got some serious talent here. Serious talent.
That's why the right management appointment has to be on point, and we really, really do have to. Which is why I would rather have Kingy than Wilder.
Yeah,
because He'd
use the academy more, wouldn't he? A bit more subjective.
He would.
How
I also think Kingy knows he's been in a Bristol team where he was the experienced head. That's why he was playing. And I think so. He knows that side of it as well. He knows who to put in with experience and who not to. And I thought the blend of experience and youth that he did with the 2 first...
It worked.
He got it spot on. And I thought JJ, as one of the experienced heads today, really showed a very commanding, professional leadership performance. And I have to take my hat off to him. He played, and he showed some pace and all to get back for some of them counter-attacks.
Silko Thomas, I mean, the goal that he scored, I mean, that was a blinder. Let's be fair. Top corner, the way he just takes on his man down that right and then he cuts in and slots it top corner.
Cultured.
Great goal. That shows what they've been learning in the week, though, doesn't it, under Andy King?
Yeah.
And how effective his experience has been on them as well.
Yeah, I'll make this my last point, lads, and then because I'm about ready to go out in a minute, but I'll make this my last point. What I liked also, just quickly, what I liked about the lads is they didn't sit on the 2-1. They went after the third, went to kill the game. You know, and there's been too many times where we sit on a 1-goal lead, go and kill the game, and really put a dent in the opposition. And that's what I liked about them. You know, they still wanted to attack. They wanted to get as many goals as they could. And that's the attitude I want to see. You know, that trying their hardest, you know, playing for the badge. And those lads in the second half especially played for the badge.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Right, I'll let you go, Reece.
Yeah, cheers, lads. Cheers for having me on, Jack.
I appreciate it, mate. Clibbo, so pre-season now is OH Leuven next. We have got Fiorentina as well. What are you expecting now regarding team? When do you really think it would start to really shape up to the style? Because if you look at the way we played in both halves, it were different styles, different developments and that. Do you kind of think that with how we played today, because Andy King talks about the physicality of the game, the strong-minded game. Andy King did say that he wasn't going to be manager. He will keep developing them and be getting them fit and physical for when the new man comes in. Do you think that sort of today showed maybe they have got the man who they want, and that's the way he's maybe got Andy King getting the team to suit him so they sort of feel comfortable when he does come in?
I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Go on.
But I said this today. I believe some of the sound bites that King has been saying in training, intensity. I believe that Leicester have their man.
Yeah.
They're waiting for it to be ticked off, and him and Kingy are talking. I firmly believe that, and I mean I'll probably get slated for it, but I do believe that that's what's happening.
Clivo knows who it is. Clivo will say a lot of things, but he's not allowed to say certain stuff from whoever he hears it from.
Yeah.
And when Clivo told me about certain things when we were chatting about it, he said this isn't going to happen and that's not going to happen, and it proved that Clivo were right. And then this one might be the same. We'll come back to Clivo in about a week or so and say, Clivo, what was that you said last week to me, or something like that? And he'd say, well, I told you that was going to happen, but I have to physically go into a lot of detail. It's just one of them things. Cheers for having me on, Reece. Appreciate it. Clivo, I tell you what, let's talk about this. I mean, I referred it to this, a tenable. What's your thoughts on the pre-match kit? Well, pre-match shirt.
Well, they look worse than they look like. I tell you what, they look like you go into an old folks' home and that's how they dress for bed.
It's a picture I took of Oliver Skip today when I seen him, and I thought, oh, that looks all right. Now I can't afford
he looks like
Davis.
He looks
Do you
like
know what?
AP.
Do you know what?
That goes any further back, he'll be combing his arse.
You wouldn't believe he's bloody 24, would you?
No.
Let's be honest. It's crazy to think, but what's your initial thoughts on the actual pre? Obviously, the kit isn't out yet, is it? They are taking their time with it. I think probably Leicester are probably the only club to even not have a kit at this point. But when do you realistically see them announcing anything regarding the kit? Do you think they'll bring them all out together, or do you? Because a lot of people have been speculating regarding FBS was one that they had a relegation clause in the contract. If Leicester got relegated, they can end that clause and sort of activate it. Do you think that was the same for BC game? That obviously they're bankrupt, aren't they? The company and that. But do you kind of think that they had a relegation clause in as well to say, okay, then, well, if Leicester get relegated, we can end the contract altogether, and now Leicester are having to find another sponsor for the shirts?
I would suggest that with clubs the size of Leicester, sort of, or yo-yo-y. I've just moved out, so I'm in the middle of stripping wallpaper. By the
He's on to you, Cliver, I'm telling you. You're on to you already. Now go on, carry on.
No, I forgot what I was saying.
He was on about the kits.
Oh, the sponsorship. Yeah, I think it's in everyone's interest, unless you're Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. I think it's in everyone's interest to have that clause because, any given time, one of those teams will get relegated. And I think it's best in all interests to sort of start afresh. Let's be honest, sponsorship is really you're only going to make masses of money if you're exposed in the Premier League around the world. So it's best for both parties. And I'd be pleased if it wasn't them, to be honest with you, this year.
Straight to the point. Love that.
Yeah.
Look, thanks for coming on, mate.
That's all right.
Appreciate it. I'll let you go and strip your paper or whatever you're up to next.
I am actually stripping wallpaper.
Fantastic. I'll let you go and crack on with that. But no, thanks for coming on anyway. Cheers, mate. That was Clibber, Reese. Go and check out the matchday vlog from today as the young Foxes start in win over Peterborough. Yeah, so Leicester City win 3-1 in their first pre-season game. Go and check out the matchday vlog if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you know and you haven't subscribed already. There's 73 of you in. Fantastic viewing as always. Really appreciate everyone's input. We try and get through as many comments as possible. But yeah, more to come on the final whistle then. Will Leicester City have a new manager next week at the helm, at Seagrave and at the King Power? So let's see what happens regarding that. Will it be Roll? Will it be Wilder? Who knows who the bloody man's going to be, but let's see if it is Danny Rowe. And maybe they're using Chris Wilder as a sort of stepping thing to get this Danny Rowe deal pushed through. But who knows? Only time will tell. But take care. Have a great rest of the evening, whatever you're up to. Keep it at the final whistle. And I'll catch you soon.